Some people don't have
like women don't have that, and
or it's unpaid.
Yeah.
I know my mom had trouble getting a job after she decided to go back to work.
Really?
Based on what you just saw in that video, what do you think are the causes of the gender wage gap?
I think one of the main causes is that there's more men working in the higher up places that determine how much people are going to get paid. So that definitely has an impact on, like, if there's more men, they're definitely going to be like, men are going to get paid more, even if the woman is doing the same exact job.
And there's it's like a really old social misconception of the fact that women have to be at home, and then men will be at work and then working and getting money to help the family in general, and then the woman's place is only in the kitchen. That's a social misconception. Like, it's been going on for a long time, and I feel like it's still relevant today, even though it's not explicit, but it's still relevant and it's still impacting our society of today, if that makes sense.
Do you see the wage gap as a human rights violation?
Technically, it's not really.
No, I don't want to say it's like as big as a human rights violation, but it's definitely a violation of something. Because I mean, if we're all about like equality, we should be equal in every sense of the word, like even money wise. But I wouldn't say it's like a human rights violation.
I want to bring this up because there's so many people who talk about the kind of numbers apparently I get for certain minutes of my time. The boys are never asked that question. Their zeros are ridiculous. Have you even seen their zeros that they get on their checks? So we should be celebrating that at least there's one girl who's gone out there and said, my question is, why aren't there other females on that list? I mean, again, it brings up the whole question. I'm very proud. No, don't get me wrong. I'm extremely proud of myself that I've had the ability to work so hard that I can stand shoulder to shoulder with my male counterparts today in the top 10 of India. But at the same time, it brings up the question that why is there just one of me? Why is there only one female actor when there are so many of us out there?
So after watching that video, how do you think that gender wage gap is present in the arts?
I mean, I think it's highly present just throughout the arts community where women are paid extremely less. And I know especially in the Hollywood, there's been lots of movements to make it so that women are seen as more of a person and up to a male counterpart. So,
do you think that there are different ways of viewing the issue of pay gap within the arts?
I think the different way to view it just stems from the same problem of inequality, whether it be with men to women or any other minority group out there. So I think it just comes from a larger issue and different things like that. So I feel like that's where it comes from. It doesn't come from just men should be paid more.
what do you think is the cause of the gender wage gap?
I think that throughout time in the past, there's been a interpretation that women and men have always been in different, like, sort of roles in the workplace. So I think people are just still stuck in their ways, and that's like one way there's still a problem in today's society.
Okay, and how do you know it's a problem, or how do you think it's a problem?
After watching the video, I think it is very apparent it's still a problem, because I think in some respects women are more qualified than men to do certain jobs but still get paid less. So I don't think that's fair, and that's why I think it's a problem.
Most of the players of my generation and before me for sure just played soccer. They represented Canada because they loved it. It's never because of the money or they would have quit ages ago. It was just because you loved to play soccer, you loved being around the team, and you loved to represent Canada. It was always such an honor for us. Yeah, just the scale right now, unfortunately, internationally is totally different. If a men's team qualifies for a World Cup, they get give or take around $10 million. If a women's team wins a World Cup, they get $2 million that goes towards their federation, and that's all coming from FIFA. The game's definitely growing. Since I've been playing on the national team over the last 10 years, it's light years ahead of where it was when I started. The pay is getting better every single year, but there's obviously still a gap, and it's a gap we're hoping to start closing.
I don't like that. It's just, as an athlete myself, I know how much time and effort that you have to put into what you do, and just to see how much the gap is between men and women who are putting in the same hours, doing the exact same thing, but they get more just because they're men. That's not right.
The authors abstracted data from the New York State Survey of Residents Completing Training, which is run each year by the Center for Health Workforce Studies of the State University of New York at Albany. Other than 1 or 2 years when funds prevented the survey from being completed, it's been fielded every year since 1998. They took data from 1999 to 2008. The authors were most interested in the residents' starting salary, defined as the self-reported base salary plus expected incentive compensation. And it's good to look at the starting salaries because that's when everyone is equal, having just completed training. It's not a time when people would have big differences for a variety of other reasons. First, let's look at the unadjusted analyses. Here are starting salaries for men and women in selected physician specialties. Not only do women have a lower starting salary overall, they have a lower starting salary in nearly every single specialty. I took a look in the appendix, and if you look at all 45 specialty groups, women lose in every one but 4.
That's crazy to me because I want to go into anesthesiology, so I really hope by the time that I graduate and get through my schooling that the gap will be closed, because I know how much hard work and time that's going to take to become an anesthesiologist, and I want to be treated with the same respect as everyone else with how much I am being paid for the work I've done.
In the United States, we do not have equal pay between men and women. Imagine a program where people are paid based on their position, not their gender. In the same program, companies that have initiatives for equality in their place of work would also be supported and given benefits. How successful do you think this program would be in closing the gender wage gap?
That was a very long question.
I feel like it would have a marginal success, but you'd have to really make sure the people that were in charge of hiring were unbiased and actually looked at everyone's things instead of just going back to the old idea of, well, this is a man with the same things as this woman, so I'm going to go with the man.
Well, I would say that this is kind of you're kind of describing a utopic country, because it's not possible, especially in the United States, where all the firms and stuff are not following the laws of equalities in the United States. It's not like the government is not in charge of these companies. They're completely separate entirety. They whereas in other countries, some companies do have to follow certain laws of the government, especially in terms of equality and stuff like that. I know in France, we have to all women and men have the ability to have a parental leave when they like the person in their family is pregnant or something like that. But then in the United States, like it's kind of impossible for the government to implement that into the economy system in other companies, because all these companies are separate from the government. So it's like kind of impossible, and that's like where we have to start changing before really changing, you know, like all the equality and sex equality between men and women and stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically, like, I feel like that would be a good program and a good idea. It'd just be really hard to get companies to actually implement it and do it.
I think it would be successful in the sense that it would work and bring up the topic, but I don't think that's the only way to solve the issue. I think there's other ways that like need to be shown, and even if the pay gap issue is fixed, there's a whole lot of other things that need to be addressed within the equality rights.
It would be very successful, as I think that productivity should take priority over gender, and if you are good in a certain role, then you should be paid the right amount regardless of gender. So I think it would be very successful and something we should implement in the future.
I think that program would be really successful because you're not getting paid based on whether you're a female or a male. You're getting paid based on your work ethic and how much work you put into it, which is what should happen, because work should be about how hard you try, not based on what you look like or where you came from or who you are. It should be how much time you put in, how much work you put in, and how much you care about your jobs. And so I think that would help in closing the gender gap.